Alright. Now a second. Let's hope we're back. As I said, this is a sort of a pilot episode, so there will be problems, kinks I have to work out. So it looked like the stream did go down for a second there, and going up, which is a problem I've been having with OBS as a streaming client over the past few of my streaming sessions. That going back with Costume Quest 2, which was the last game I played, and still haven't figured out why that is happening. So forgive me for those issues. I'm gonna make sure that stuff doesn't happen. But let me load up the stream again. I'm gonna make sure that I am in fact still going here. Maybe what I want to do is with any game with OBS, I may need to lower the resolution. It used to be that my previous client that I used to stream games was a GeForce Experience. I was able to use that to stream games just fine. Alright, looks like we are back up. Yeah, there I am. The sound is working too. But recently, it has become really unreliable. I even tried it earlier today, and it just didn't work out. But OBS seems to not be working quite well. Or at least OBS is giving me some streaming capability rather than just dying outright. But this is the best I have right now, and I keep working. I think I may need to lower the resolution because of the power of my PC, and I've had great difficulty getting it to play a game and stream at the same time. And I think it doesn't really matter which game that is. So that's a problem I have to work out. And I was able to actually get it working reliably with Assassin's Creed 4, which is a more graphically intense game, but at 900p resolution rather than at full 1080. So I might need to do that. Try to eke out some resources from this PC to get it, so I can actually play through this game stably, at least. But right now, just keep on going while I have this working. And just know that stream might just go down for a few seconds each time that happens. So, as I was saying, games that Valve makes. Actually, you know what? I think I have some settings here that might be slowing it down. In particular, the ambient occlusion. I saw some of that there. I don't think I wanted it on while I was streaming because that is very resource intensive, even for older games. So I usually that's one of the things I disable, especially when it is not native. So there's a lot of the things that is very complicated about PC gaming, what you have to put up with when you are PC gaming, and it's even made even more complicated when you are doing something like streaming the game at the same time. Just keep that in mind while I play the game and do my analysis, because of course that impacts its performance here. For me, the game is working very, very smoothly, and I'm trying to work on getting the stream to go stable without going down for a few seconds at a time. Alright, so right now, gotta go in this van because we have to actually go back into the Citadel here. So I want to introduce a little bit of the story, since that is also very important to catch up. But of course, a lot of things are happening all at once. It's difficult to actually get that introduction going in. So let's get in the van, and we're coming off the end of Half-Life 2 here, where Alyx and Gordon here, the character we're playing as, went up to the top of the Citadel and destroyed a very important portal that the enemies, these alien invaders of Earth known as the Combine, set up. These alien invaders created this Citadel as a sort of capital or capital tower ruling the Earth. And then in Half-Life 2, Alyx and Gordon were able to set off an explosion that destroyed a very important portal that the Combine were developing. However, in episode 1, we see that we have to get out, right?
Alright, let's get off before the next ride starts.
In episode 1, right away, that dialogue with Dr. Kleiner and Alyx's dad, Eli Vance, they informed us that the explosion that we set off at the top of the tower set off a chain reaction that is going to overload the core of the tower. That's going to set off an even more massive explosion that could kill anyone in the vicinity of that explosion. So we right now have to actually go back in the tower to prevent the core from exploding. It's one of those it's kind of a we have to go back, Kate sort of moment. I don't know if this came out around the time of that season of Lost, but kind of reminds me of that moment in Lost. We have to go back. We have to go back. Anyway, that's pretty much what's going on here. We dealt a major blow to the Combine, which are currently ruling the Earth, but they're not down and out yet, and we still have to deal with this problem that we inadvertently made. Right now we get a lot of exciting scenes, such as that kind of roller coaster car ride when Dog Alyx's robot threw us back in over the chasm into the heart of the Citadel, and there's a nice little visual splendor sort of thing to start things off here. Alright, this is a much more quieter moment we can actually discuss here. Wonder if I have some time. I might need to wait for the next part where I can disable the ambient occlusion shadows. That's one setting that is like a nice visual feature that I like to turn on.
Oh my god, this place is really
via the drivers, and it adds a lot to the game. But when I'm streaming at the same time, it can add some unnecessary strain on the system, and I don't want that to happen. That could be why it's going down as well. Stream. I think for right now, I think if it goes down, it's going to go down, and this will have to just be in multiple parts, like a part 1A, part 1B, for instance. Alright, so besides those introductory details, other basics about Half-Life 2 Episode 1 is, well, the Half-Life series is about a strong narrative-driven experience for in a sort of first-person shooter genre of game. So we see, even from this little intro here, we see that story-centric experience to Half-Life 2 here. That's one of the reasons why I love this series. It isn't simply about shooting enemies. It is about the whole experience. We're several minutes into this game right now, and we haven't even shot our gun. We don't even technically have a proper gun right now. We just have what's called the gravity gun, which is something that can pick up items and throw them. We don't get a proper gun for some time here because of that narrative focus in this Half-Life series. Of course, Half-Life 1, probably important to point out. The first game in the series, released in, I think, 98 or 99. It was very important and a pivotal game as far as introducing how games can have a very narrative-centric experience to them. It doesn't have to be gameplay 100% of the time. That said, just because it's a narrative-centric experience does not mean that the gameplay is secondary at all. It just means that you can have this sort of this pure interactive experience that carries forward a very well told story and strong narrative in video game terms, in this interactive terms. One of the marquee things that that Half-Life 1 did was, tell its entire experience while preserving that interactivity that I was talking about
Find where those roller mines are going?
in the beginning. There were very few what you call cutscenes where the story would wrest controls away from you and then display a scene, a specific story scene. Something like what we saw in Assassin's Creed 4 or Costume Quest, where we just see a story play out, it was essentially a video play out, and you just passively watch it. Here in Half-Life, it stresses the interactivity. You're always in it. Besides the the first scene and a few others, the last scene, you are always in control. And the Half-Life series in particular is one of the very first series of games, or Half-Life 1, and Half-Life 1 is one of the first games that shows that you can tell a story without wresting the interactivity of the player away, the agency of the player away from them. You don't have to tell it through cutscenes. You can tell it through, like, for example, Alyx Vance's dialogue with us. Her dialogue, her words are what's driving us forward, explaining what's going on. There's also other ways in which the series tells narratives. Half-Life 1 was a very important game in that sense, by introducing that concept that we can have a pure narrative experience and still be story focused, and not just be 100% gameplay focused. Alright, so we have one of these energy portals, energy is here that give us health and energy for our suit. Right now we're in the absolute introductory phase of the game, so we're still seeing a lot of story and very minor pieces to the environment where we actually interact. Like I said, we only have one sort of weapon, so to speak, the gravity gun. If you can even argue that's a weapon, it's more of a tool that can be used in various different ways. We talk about the gravity gun later. So I think that's a decent enough introduction to Half-Life and as a series, as well as I don't need all of these roller things. I only need one. I only need one. So where is it? There it is. Half-Life as a series, or a very quick and dirty introduction to Half-Life as a series, as well as Half-Life 2 Episode 1, the story coming off of Half-Life 2. So I brought one of these roller mines that Alyx was asking for.
Oh, you found one. Dad taught me how to reset the targeting system.
Let her speak here.
A little extra juice in the right spot, and it's on
before I get
side.
further into my discussion.
Where I can work on it.
Alright. There we go.
It's a lot more unstable, but it should last long enough to take out the stalkers. Let it go now.
We're introducing a new concept here, these roller mines. We've seen before in Half-Life 2. Alyx has made it so that it's working for us and it's damaging our enemies there. Interesting twist on this sort of device, and it's weird that they're bringing it up here and now, considering it was like this tiny type of device that we briefly saw even in the overall experience of Half-Life 2. Now we're seeing it here in a interesting way where we can use it to our advantage. Let it unleash it in a room, and then it takes out enemies for us. I don't know, the Valve decided that would be a fun way to start off the series, I suppose, or start off this particular entry in the series. Alright, so we see these weird, I think Alyx calls them stalkers. And they are our primary enemies going forward here. Oh, okay, so now that I did that quick and dirty introduction to this game, Half-Life 2 Episode 1, I can also talk about why I decided to pick this game as the next game that I will stream all the way through. as part of my stream theory series. I think after games like Assassin's Creed 4 and then Costume Quest 2 after that, those were games that I played. Those were games that I played for the first time on stream, and offered my raw reactions as I was playing them, and I put a lot of it's very difficult to do. It's actually put a lot of stress. It almost it was an interesting challenge to get to come across, trying to comment on something that I've never experienced before. I have the gravity gun here. Can pick things up and throw them. So if there's obstacles here, I can, clear the paths. This is the basic use for the gravity gun as a stream now. So we're still, as I said, we're still in the introduction of the game. We're in a sort of tutorial mode. And right now, we're working on the absolute basics. So as far as doing another game for stream, I think what I ultimately wanted to do for the next one was I wanted a little change of pace, so go back to something that I'm comfortable with, something that I've played many times before, and I think Half-Life 2 Episode 1 fit the bill. Like I had just been playing Half-Life 2 over again, and I just recently finished that, so it seemed perfectly timed to continue my replay of Half-Life 2 or Half-Life the series, and then do this Episode 1 on stream. So the idea is that I'm returning to a game I'm comfortable with, something that I've already experienced and know, and I can go back to something like a commentary I did with the first few games that I streamed, which were Alien Isolation and Dark Souls, both of which I played prior to streaming those games, so I was able to comment from a position where I already knew a lot about the games, and it wasn't those raw reactions that I was doing with
I'll be right behind you.
with Assassin's Creed 4 and with Costume Quest 2. So for a change of pace, I wanted to go for a more comfortable game. So here we're learning how to run. Make sure we don't get caught in those winds. We'll run across this bridge. So again, absolute basics to moving around in the world. It's interesting that we're being trained in these basics in this sort of really intense scene where we're delving into the heart of the Citadel that's about to explode and take out like a huge chunk of the Earth, essentially. It's very curious how that works out. Right, so ultimately I settled on Half-Life 2 Episode 1. Seemed to be just the right game at the right time as far as games that I've already played, just because I just recently finished Half-Life 2. So it follows that I would go ahead with the next entry in the series, which is Episode 1. So as far as my commentary goes for this game and this stream theory playthrough of the game, I'll be coming from a position where I've already played the game many times before since it released, and my analysis of the scenes will still be reactionary and to what's going on as I see it, but also I have foreknowledge of things that are going to come, and I can talk about the game as a whole as well. Something I wasn't really able to do with Assassin's Creed 4 or Costume Quest 2, just because I don't know what's going to happen in those games after the events that I'm experiencing at the time. Also, in general, last game I played, Costume Quest 2, the ending there kind of creeped up on me. I did not expect it to end so soon. Alright, so we're seeing a major narrative event, so I want to let this play here. We're seeing something that we've only really seen briefly in Half-Life 2 at the very end. It's still a mystery at this point what these things are. They seem to be very important to the Combine. we're seeing here, they seem to have strange abilities, strange powers.
Oh, what the hell was that thing?
So right now we're seeing
It's gone now.
the importance of having an AI character like Alyx here, a non-player character, to drive forward the narrative and kind of give us an emotional base or core to attach to while we see these scenes. Because, you know, Gordon Freeman here, while we're seeing in his eyes and we're in control of him, he doesn't talk. In Half-Life 2, that's one of the key things about his character. He doesn't talk, and I think the reason for that is that Valve wanted to make it so that whatever we're feeling as the player, whatever we're feeling in reaction to what's going on in the story at any given moment, we are essentially the character of Gordon. We don't want... Valve didn't want Gordon to project feelings or emotions, dialogue that would be different from the player playing the game. But as far as providing motivation for the continuation of the story and providing vital details about what's going on, a character like Alyx can be important, can serve that function without taking away from your own character. I think that's the point of what they're trying to do with both Gordon as the mute player character and Alyx as a non-player character. They both serve different functions in the narrative. And I guess I could explore that further as I play the game, as we see more examples of that. But this is like a brief surface level look at what's going on there and the dynamic between those two characters as far as their role in the storytelling. Right, so there's a lot going on, so there's a lot I can talk about. I'm already getting a little fatigued because an introduction like this can really take a lot out of me because there's a lot to talk about, of course, in the beginning of any particular game. So you're using some new concepts here, like how we reach what's apparently a dead end, and Alyx, you know, serving as that informational character. She's gonna give us a little bit more information about what we can do, give us some hints. Essentially, what we're seeing here is what's effectively a puzzle to solve. How do we get to the across there? So just from observing the environment, we can kind of see what's going on. We see on the right side there an active energy device, or whatever, and we see an inactive energy device. So using any sort of common sense, I think we can try and we need to activate that second energy device. And we can also conclude that maybe the one on the right corresponds with this energy beam that we're seeing across here, and the one on the left, since it's deactivated, corresponds with the empty energy beam, or lack of an energy beam. So if we try and use this gravity gun that we have here to pull one of these energy balls, shoot it at the inactive device, we can now create a bridge, allows us to go across. And there we go, puzzle solved. This is also one of the things that we could do with the super gravity gun that we got at the end of the Half-Life 2 experience. Super gravity gun can pick up dudes and fling them around. It's one of the things we could get away with. So kind of messed up there, took a little damage. I think Alyx got caught in the crossfire as well. So, after a puzzle, we get introduced to a little bit of combat as well. Some basics to fighting, and the super gravity gun that we saw at the end of Half-Life 2 was one of the more fun moments, and see a moment where you felt super powerful because your gun was essentially overcharged and just decimated all your enemies. So on the flip side, having it at the beginning of the game makes sense from a narrative perspective, because then you still have access to that same gun, and because you're also in the Citadel that caused that overcharge of the device, in the first place, it makes sense that you would get that overcharge again. But as far as the function, I think about kind of a palate cleanser, interesting end to the combat experiences of Half-Life 2. It here in the having that overpowered weapon in the beginning is meant to works as, I think, kind of easing you into the game. By giving you a really powerful weapon, you can get the hang of stuff like combat with something that is very powerful and easy to use and easy to take down your enemies. Where, you know, later on you're gonna get other weapons that won't as easily take down enemies. So it kind of follows that it's great at an end of the game as a sort of palate cleanser to make you feel powerful, but also as in the beginning of the game to ease you into the experience and into, you know, getting used to the combat and whatnot. So now I can use you know, also, you know, defeat enemies by using the energy balls themselves, but of course I can, if I can just pull the fuse, fling them right back, instantly kill them. I don't need to do the energy ball thing either. Alright. And the same technology that supercharged the gun also kind of supercharged your hazard suit that the hazard suit that Gordon is wearing. So you're also coming at a position where you are powerful as far as your health and your armor as well. That also helps you ease you into the game. Getting used to combat in a way where you won't just die outright. It's very difficult to actually die with these super-powered accessories that you have right now. But later on in the game, that's when it'll take away those training wheels. They're essentially training wheels to get you used to the combat, and then you'll have more of a challenge later on. So right now I think it's just focused on teaching the game in a fun way where you feel like you're powerful. I think it works very well here as well. So that's my take on what it's trying to do. So here we have a little twist on that same puzzle we saw before. There is like a glass obstruction. So you can't directly hit the energy. Sort of use an indirect shot. Hope try to get this thing behind the glass and behind here, and then bounce off the glass. So we're already seeing that the puzzle challenges and the combat sort of ramp up slowly as we get used to the combat, used to the controls, and getting more acquainted with what's going on. As far as just, you know, basic controls of the game, it doesn't want to throw anything super complex at you right away, and I think that makes total sense. Valve, as a game developer, is known very well for excellence in game design. It's little things like that, like the very subtle ramp up of difficulty, the way it subtly teaches you how to simply control the game and solve puzzles, and the way that it's done completely through the scenarios that it's set up, the level design. And there, as you see, there aren't a whole lot of hints. There can be some screen prompts that tell you basic controls, like how to sprint. We saw like pop-ups on screen telling you how to control what's going on. A lot of really cool things going on. Alright, so it looks like so far so good as far as streaming, and knock on wood. Hasn't gone down since that initial part. Hopefully it'll stay that way. Alright, so still getting to the core. And we're still definitely in this introductory part. I think everything that in the Citadel serves as a sort of introduction, and in a tutorializing, getting you familiar with a lot of the way the game works in general. which is an amazing feat considering, as I said in Half-Life 2, this was the culmination of everything. This level, the Citadel, was the culmination of everything that we learned in Half-Life 2. So that level was more of a test of everything you've learned before. Here, it's an introduction. Here, it's teaching you. So the way they're able to do that with a very climactic level, a very big set piece of a level where a lot of action is happening all at once, is a feat in and of itself. It's a marvel that it's able to do that. Or Valve is able to do that, the game is able to do that. Must have been quite a challenge to construct an exciting level full of action, but also be something that is trying to teach you just how to play the game, simply. And giving you a big set piece, an exciting set piece full of action, a lot of stuff going on, throwing all that in your face right up front is actually kind of it's interesting and a little bit what's the word? It's brilliant just because all this action and excitement distracts you from the fact that the game is trying to teach you how to play the game.
Look up. Watch out.
So now we gotta use the gravity gun to stop from dying here. And good thing we have the super gravity gun here, because I don't think the non-supercharged one would be able to handle these really large objects. I think this whole falling puzzle thing
Can you get it going again?
is meant to just give you something to do while the game, moves you from one place to another. That's not a bad way to give you another sort of distraction. All right, so we see another one of these energy puzzles behind glass. We have to figure out how to get it in there. Let's see. You can sort of see that that way leads inside there. So try to make it bounce off the walls. Hope that it gets inside. Yeah, there we go. Worked out. I really like I like a lot of these introductory puzzles. They work very well, getting you to just figure out the game, figure out how the game works. Like a lot of the intro is just understanding the language of the game, and how when the environment presents you with a problem that you need to figure out, it's also teaching you how to read that. And so doing it all without just like bopping you over the head and telling you, hey, you need to do exactly this, this, and this, and that'll inform how you do the rest, right? So need to get it in there. So we're seeing a lot of these same energy puzzles, and they're getting slightly more difficult as we go on. And it's that ramp that I think makes it work. Gets us to understand the game as we go forward. Oh, I see. So now this one is interesting in particular because this one, figure out we need to do that, get the energy bauble in there. Then we have something directly destroying it, that stalker. There we go. And if we didn't get it, if we didn't understand that, because if we're far away, it's easy to miss that the stalker is destroying the bubble. We have Alyx here to sort of point that out. And as far as when the game does, as far as when the game does point things out, having an AI character like Alyx do that sort of pointing out, do that sort of deliberate pointing out is a great way to do that, because it just feels a lot more natural than having just a prompt on the screen telling you exactly what's going on. Alyx is just another character working with us, and she's trying to figure out the situation alongside of us too. So very natural, very... There we go, destroy the stalker. Now we can do the whole energy puzzle thing. Normal and nothing will stop us.
Good job.
It works on many levels, having an AI partner with us. Feels like we're working together towards a common goal. She isn't just a static partner. She's actively engaged in what we're both doing. We're working. We're in this together, essentially. Make sure there's... Oh, run? We have to run? I guess we couldn't pick that one up.
Oh, that was close.
So having her there to say run informs us that, hey, we shouldn't try to pick that up like we did before. Just make a run for it. Get off the platform. There's another smart way of use of the AI partner in general. I mean, if we didn't have her there, and we were just doing the same thing that we were essentially been trained to do, which was try to pick it up and throw it away, probably would have just died. But because she is there, the game is able to use her as a sort of communication with us to tell us to, hey, react differently, change your tactics. Alright, we are in a new area, so one of the things about Half-Life 2, and the way that general it's
This could be it, Gordon.
kind of
Careful.
the way it shows its age, Half-Life 2 is just the engine itself and the way it has to load these very
I don't get it. Why are they hanging around?
deliberate levels. At every certain interval there is a level load.
Trying to blow the
And that's just a limitation of the engine that this game runs, and that's primarily where the game shows its age, I think. Now, games of today are
I was right about this.
much better about seamless loading and making sure you're always in the experience and never seeing a loading screen.
Control room.
Constantly in the experience and never having to have your system pause to load and interrupt it. That's just a minor thing, a limitation of the technology of the time. We're almost at the core. We saw a glimpse of it there. We're gonna get to a point where we can
I hope it's not too late to re-engage the containment field.
prevent the explosion.
Hopefully we know what you're doing. Well, here's your elevator. Gordon, I wish there was something else I could do to help.
Alright, you guys just gotta go.
Hurry back.
Alright, so now we're going to directly deal with that core. And this is the first time that we are delving into a problem scenario without Alyx. She has to stay behind. She doesn't have the way the game is justifying it, the way the game is motivating it, is that she doesn't have the same suit that we're wearing, the hazard suit. It allows us to deal with these heavily irradiated areas. So we're at the core, naturally there's going to be some radiation. I think that's kind of a smart way to ramp up the challenge of the game without having a helper like Alyx to be there to help us, be there to remind us, give us hints and such. Now we have to deal with things on our own, using the tools that, by the way, the game has already taught us. So if we just remember what we're doing here. So we see more of those energy puzzles, but also more of those stalkers. We have to deal with them the same way we dealt with them before. So it's this subtle ramp up of these challenges that we're seeing. One of the great design elements that we see from Valve. Just that very subtle ramp up. Nothing just seems too complex, or I mean complex is not the right word. Just it's there isn't anything that doesn't seem motivated or unexplained. Like, you should be able to figure out every problem that's presented to you, even if it is a challenge. Let's try and get this bridge up now. There we go. So one side of it's done. And there's one up here as well, I see. There it is. And we should be able to cross now. So now the core is essentially the test of what we learned before. See if that tutorializing that we've been experiencing up until this point has actually worked. And I think it definitely does. First time playing through this, like I generally didn't have problems figuring this out. So there is another stalker there. I wonder if he's going to stop. Just in case, I'll probably try and take him out. I don't know if I can. Might be behind the glass. He hasn't taken it out yet. I think we're in the clear. Yeah, he's behind glass. There we go. Like, all he was doing was guarding this button. All right. So that's our objective there. We have to figure out how to contain that core. Make our way up. So as far as introductory scenes, this is one of the coolest set-piece areas that I've seen in the Half-Life 2 series, or almost any game. This is one of the coolest design areas. I mean, just the graphical effects that are going on with this core, really just cool looking. Just very memorable scene. And having this right up front helps you get into the game and helps you get hooked on the experience right away, right up front. This is one of the coolest intro scenes of like any game ever. Now, as far as the overall experience of Half-Life 1 or Half-Life 2 Episode 1, there are certainly considerations to make regarding that, regarding the overall experience. But right now, this is the intro scene is really, really cool, really well done. The fact that also that we're right, like, mere feet away from this core, this really cool looking thing that I'm not even sure how they could have made something like this back in 2007, 2008, using the graphics technology of the time. Just, I don't know, the way that it looks, the colors that are used, very brilliantly done, very beautiful looking and impressive. It's definitely, there's any if the word set piece is used too often in video games, I think this particular scene, this particular area, is one in which it is not used improperly, I guess I would say. This is a very proper use of the set piece term. Alright, so to figure out where to go next, okay, there's a way to go here, looks like. Deal with these Combine. Still have this super gravity gun, so make short work of these guys. Alright. So, figure out what to do here. If there's like a button somewhere, there's some sort of lever or something to activate. Oh, right, of course. Duh, I should naturally I'm looking for these energy things, so there's one here. I gotta grab one of those energy balls and power this device. So to figure out where, there's one. Alright, so solving the same sort of puzzles but in different situations with different complexities surrounding it. Fully exploring this, you know, power the device with the energy ball problem in various types of situations. Alright, so it looks like we have to do this to solve the whole problem of the core. That'll be the key. Now we're seeing these bladed flying robots called manhats. We're deploying them. We can also grab them and use them to take out the Combine enemies as well. But when we can also just grab them and fling them around, we don't necessarily need to do that in particular. To use the manhats themselves as weapons, because they're more of a deterrent for us. They're more of a hazard. Alright. So, gonna continue on. Presented with this interesting challenge. Now, we know those energy balls will hurt us. Because, of course, they can hurt the enemies, they can still damage us. So this is an interesting way of using the gravity gun to block these energy balls from destroying us. Use it as a shield on our way through this otherwise hazardous area. Alright. So, moving on. I thought that was really clever. I don't think I figured that out right away when I first saw that. I thought we needed to use this door as a means to traverse that hazardous area. I think that was really cool to figure that out in the first place. Okay, so next up, where do we go? If I thought it was close down there, here we have to go like really, really close. It actually becomes part of interacting with the environment itself. Now it itself is a hazard. So not only are we getting super close to this really cool looking core, really impressive graphical effect, whatever is happening here, it also becomes an actual interactive part of traversing this environment. If the time, getting across with its pulsing, for it, obviously it'll hurt us if we touch it. It is the heart of the radiation of this level, so I think it's a nice little touch as far as traversing the environment. It isn't just a pure graphical effect, not just a set piece. There is like some actual interacting with that object itself. It is in itself an obstacle in our way. Alright. So deal with these dudes, and of course we have to get another energy ball. Try to do the same thing that we did last time, but I'm sure, of course, it won't be as simple. There'll be another complication twist that'll make it a bit more challenging. I have to actually get there. Oh wait, there's actually one right here. I didn't see that. Alright, so I had that powered now, but let's see what happens here. Alright. That's the second one. I'm sure we're going to need a third one. To do one more before we finally contain the core. Prevent that explosion. Alright. Well, of course, one of the things you have to keep in mind is, since I've played Half-Life 2, as well as the Half-Life 2 episodes many different times, there are a lot of things that I'm taking for granted as well, like the Combine as enemies, and stuff like their design and the way they look and sound. A lot of that stuff I do take for granted, so I was just thinking about, like, maybe I need to comment on the design of the Combine themselves. I'm not sure what I should or should not comment on. And of course, there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to miss entirely. It might be interesting just because I am taking them for granted. But as far as the design of the Combine themselves, the way they sound, I think they're really interesting enemies. They're they're at once alien and familiar at the same time. Because I think the way the Combine create new Combine soldiers is they take humans and they sort of transform them. So if that's the right word. They trying to destroy these things, but just won't get across the wall. There we go. I want to bash them against the wall here. Very convenient distraction as well to keep us from paying attention to what we need to do. Get across the environment. Alyx is still there. And I think what we need to do is hop over to one of those platforms. Not sure which one though. Kind of turned around now. I'm assuming it's this one. Let's see. Is this where we came from, or? Alright, since we're seeing enemies, I think that means that we're going the right way. Usually when you see people shooting at you, enemies, it means you're going the correct direction. And you're not accidentally backtracking. Right, the Combine. So as far as the design of the Combine, I think they look and sound cool. Very unique look, kind of design. They aren't just simply human soldiers. They are they're an interesting twist on what would otherwise be like sort of normal enemies, which I guess would be normal humans. But at the same time, they're familiar enough to make us kind of uneasy about killing them. If they were totally alien, we might not even think twice about taking their lives. But the fact that they are familiar enough and have that human origin, they were once humans at one point, and then they were transformed. Still feel a little guilty about taking them down. Alright, so another one of these. We'll make our way. Slow going here. Alright. There we go. So, get to the next area. Take down this Combine. Still have the super gravity gun. Of course, they're still making short work of them. So enjoy it while have to enjoy it while it lasts, because of course I already know that we won't have this super gravity gun forever. There we go. Powered the device again. And this should be the third one. Third one to suppress, contain the core. But of course there's a complication now. It's not going to be that simple this time. Looks like this opened up, and there might be something to solve here as well. Alright, so 3 different, I guess, energy field reactors, and power them with more of those energy balls. So let's try and get as many as we can. Wonder if I can just get them by hopefully making them bounce off the walls here. It's not going to be that easy. Alright, one of them looks like got in there. That's good. I don't want to. Ultimately, I don't want to keep having to drop down. Alright, another one got in, and I'll just, for this one, last one, I'll just directly put it into the power device. Alright, so here's another interesting twist. Now we're kind of blocked. But of course we can make this go down again by Oh crap. No! Ah, lost it. All I wanted to do was take it down so that this thing would come back down. Not block me. Alright, so know how to solve the puzzle. Do it from down here, I think. Let me grab this one then, so I can see it directly. There we go. And now I can get back up. But I really like how these sort of puzzles are getting more complex, and they're ramping up naturally, and they're not presenting problems that are too difficult. However, there's still challenges in them in and of themselves. Like let's go back to my original memory of solving them. And they weren't totally straightforward. They definitely did pose their challenges. But of course, since I played this before, in general I know how to solve these puzzles, so they're no longer a challenge to me. But I can still appreciate the subtle ramp up of difficulty. I can actually appreciate that even more because I can see what it's doing. I can comment on that perhaps a little bit better now that I've seen. I can see that ramp up more clearly and how that challenge is changing and growing. And so it looks like we've successfully contained the core, and supposedly we've solved the problem. And we should power up the suit, why don't we? Also notice the gun has changed color, so I don't think we have we don't have the super gravity gun anymore. We have the normal gravity gun.
It won't last forever, but at least we've bought a little time. While you were in there, I did some poking around in the control data. They were trying to start a chain reaction, alright, but destroying the Citadel is just a side effect. Since we took out Brain's reactor, this is the only way they have to send a transmission packet back to wherever it came from. I can't tell what the packet contains, but it's important enough that they're willing to sacrifice the whole Citadel to send it off. We need to get it back to my dad and Dr. Kleiner at the outpost right away. I've been pulling down a copy. Whatever it is.
So now we have key information that we have collected from the Citadel to deliver back to deliver back to Kleiner and Eli.
I'm fairly sure I've pinned down the location of the project. It's hard to say how much of it might have survived intact, or whether there's anything remaining that could compromise our work if it were discovered by the Combine. We'll need to take a close look at it, of course, but I should be able to give a better opinion within a few hours. If the site is where we think it is, then it should be no more than... I'm gonna cut this short. We may have been spotted.
Alright, now that's pretty cool because that's a particular enemy we've never seen before. I guess this little message, this video message that we're seeing right now from Judith is also introducing or foreshadowing an enemy we'll have to deal with later. Not even necessarily in this episode. I think we don't even see it until episode 2. Alright, so I think I'm just going to get through the Citadel area. Once we're out of the Citadel, I think that's a great place to call an end to the stream.
Something tells me they don't have to read the mail. This lift will take us to a train platform. If we can hitch a ride, it should take us straight out of the city. Hey, the gravity gun's back to me. Well, it was nice while it lasted.
And that the first episode, the first part of my playthrough will be just be the Citadel segment. It serves as a pretty good introduction and also pretty good self-contained part. It's all one on a cohesive level, serving multiple purposes. One is to introduce a story, and another is just to introduce the various mechanics that we're going to experience, various modes of interacting with the game. we've already learned that Alyx can kind of tame these roller mine beasts. Remember that, then we're gonna have them deal with them. So they should be able to take down these Combine enemies. There they are. They're gonna open the doors, and there we go. Just let them go and watch. It's kind of a funny little experience the way these roller mines work. Especially satisfying because we don't have a proper gun ourselves yet, so this is the only way we can really take on enemies. Especially now that we don't have the super gravity gun anymore. All right. We're almost out of the Citadel. We're not quite out of the woods yet.
Come on, let's get in.
Alright, I think this train essentially will take us out of the Citadel and end this introductory scene.
You know, all things considered, we're not. Oh no, it's a stalker car. God damn the Combine. This is what happens to you if you resist.
Right, so these stalkers, horrific mutations, are also once humans at one point.
God, I hope you don't remember. All right.
It's really morbid, really tragic to think about as well. Very
With any luck, we should
disturbing
be out of the city.
is the word I would use. Like there's really creepy monsters now, but they were once humans.
Let's hope the worst is over. It looks like you saved our lives again. What's that? Oh my god. Brace yourself.
Yeah, it's a very disturbing sight to come across after an accident, after a train collision. Also trying to very disturbing stalkers, seeing one right up in your face, trying to get away, and also trying to get one off of Alyx here, just pinned down. I think very effective use of like shock factor and surprise.
Hold up a sec.
And also utilizing the things that we've learned. We're very well versed in using the gravity gun at this point, even after only like maybe an hour of playing the game.
Well,
It's all been about the gravity gun, so
this might not be as easy as I thought.
it's more of an emotional test and putting you under that pressure when you are under sort of stress, making you think quickly on your feet, and using those gravity gun skills to try and get through that very uncomfortable situation. Very effective scene to sort of end that Citadel, the whole Citadel sequence, that introductory sequence. Alright, so I think now that we're out of the Citadel, this is a great ending point for this first part. Got through most of that initial tutorial, as well as the introductory story sequence for episode 1. So I think it's a great time to wind it down here, and I'll say thank you very much for watching as well. I'm going to continue on, hopefully work out some of the problems that I've experienced. It seems like the stream kept on going. I'll find out later It went down again. Seemed to me like it just went down one time a few minutes in. So that's generally a good sign that I'll be able to stream this game fairly stably. Hopefully more stably here on out. Yeah, we'll see. I'll try and work out the things. Mainly I'm just going to turn off the shadows that I have turned on in the drivers. While I was playing Half-Life 2, I also had the ambient occlusion shadows, which are sort of shadows around objects. They're just called ambient occlusion. They just add a sort of 3D looking effect to the game. Now, the thing about that is that as far as a graphical effect, they aren't native to the game. They're kind of a driver implemented thing. And it's just a setting that works with compatible games, and Half-Life 2 and the Half-Life 2 games are one of those games. So, but as far as performance goes, and because I'm streaming this, I think I'm going to turn it off, and maybe that'll free up some resources to make sure I can stream stably. But anyway, that's just some technical stuff that I'm going to work out as we go forward. Alright, so hopefully that was a good enough start to the series. I'm going to play this whole game through, hopefully, if all goes well and as planned. And this will be what I'll be streaming from here on out. And yeah, so if you want to go look at the archives of this series, as well as the other games that I've played for my Twitch playthroughs, my stream theory playthroughs on Twitch, I have those stored long term over my YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/YamsterSam. You can also follow me on Twitter at YamsterSam to know when I go live, as well as other updates. Of course, you can continue to watch me and follow me on Twitch on my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/YamsterSam, where I will do all of these playthroughs live. Alright, so for now, with that inaugural episode done, I'll say thanks again for watching, and I will see you later.